Disneyland.
Here you leave today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy.
Disneyland is full of wonderful things, and one of my favorite, most wonderful of the things is this, the Submarine Lagoon. When Disneyland opened in 1955, it already contained so many wonderful things. But less than 4 years later, on June 14th, 1959, a whole slew of new attractions opened up. The motorboat ride, the monorail, the mighty Matterhorn, scary, and of course one of my favorite things, the Submarine Lagoon. A lot of people are probably wondering, what the hell do submarines have to do with the world of tomorrow? Keep in mind that in the 50s, the freeways still looked pretty futuristic. It was the atomic age. And in the 1950s, nuclear-powered submarines were the wave of the future. Along with the science fiction movies of the time were TV shows like The Silent Service, exploring the depths of submarine culture. Hard to imagine submarine culture now, isn't it? Submarines were making big waves in exploration. In 1958, a submarine for the first time actually parked itself under the North Pole, only to discover that the water was indeed cold. With the nation captivated by submersible warfare and exploration, Walt Disney knew he had to be part of the action. Each of these submarines cost $80,000 to build in the 1950s, which is around 500 grand today. A little more expensive than my uncle's fishing boat. Soon Walt Disney was launching the world's largest private fleet of submarines. They had a lot of help from General Dynamics, which was the company that was actually building the real nuclear submarines at the time. Among other aquatic adventures, the submarines took you to a graveyard of lost ships, under the North Pole, to the bottom of the sea to see a giant squid. You saw mermaids, you saw the ruins of Atlantis, and one silly sea serpent. They built the Submarine Lagoon right here between what was the Fantasyland and what is still the Tomorrowland Utopia. They dredged out a lagoon and created a show building to house 9 million gallons of water, in addition to the submarines and the scenery themselves. Love. The submarines actually travel through here into a massive show building underneath all of these tracks of the monorail and the Utopia. If you ride the Utopia, pay close attention. You'll see all kinds of stairways coming up and vent shafts for the ride that's underneath you. Could you keep it down? You're driving right over my submarine. Originally, the submarines were a lovely commie hunting gray color. Later, perhaps realizing that warfare colors probably weren't the most family-friendly of ideas, Disney changed the submarines to yellow, not after the Beatles songs, but to reflect research submarines. Research? Unlike their real-life counterparts, though, these submarines didn't actually dive under the water. Spoiler alert, they're more like glass-bottom boats. Guests actually ride down inside the submarine and look through these portholes. And they weren't nuclear powered either. They were powered by diesel. Ooh. Yes, I can remember a time where this whole lagoon smelled of wonderful diesel fuel. Ah, those were the days. You really got a rush out of the ride back then. On June 14th, 1959, there was a gala celebration for the opening of the submarines, complete with choreographed swimming mermaids. For the 10th anniversary celebrations in 1965, Disney brought back live mermaids to sit in the lagoon and wave at the guests. The mermaids were actually so popular they brought them back the next summer, but unfortunately, 1966 would be their last summer. The legend goes that not only were the mermaids getting a little woozy from all the diesel fumes coming from those submarines, but the chlorine was also giving them a rash all over their body. Rashy mermaids. A beautiful mermaid. Oh my god, what's that on her skin? In the late 90s, Tomorrowland was totally shut down to reappear in 1998 as a new golden future. Mission to Mars, the People Mover, and the Circle-Rama Theater had to make way for new attractions. Luckily, the submarines did not fall victim to the closures, or so we thought. Inexplicably, just months after the new Tomorrowland opened, the old submarine voyage closed forever. So for years, the tranquil Submarine Lagoon sat empty, derelict, with the submarines stashed inside the massive show building. Well, thank God for Pixar, because by the 50th anniversary of the park, it was announced that the submarines would be reopening with a Finding Nemo theme. Woo! Hooray, the submarines are saved! The ride was rethemed and became kind of a follow-up story to the adventures in Finding Nemo. Now the old submarine voyage is populated by all those wonderful Pixar fish. Theirs now. Taking their cue from Epcot's Nemo attraction, there's all kinds of awesome underwater projections. It really makes those CGI fish come to life down there. Thankfully, the ride used most of the original scenery, so the submarine voyage as originally envisioned is still pretty much intact under there. One great thing about retrofitting the old subs is that they no longer make you woozy from diesel fumes. One bad thing is that they're still very claustrophobic. They were actually able to add extra seating capacity once they switched over to electric because they didn't need those huge diesel engines anymore. Just in case you were wondering, the submarines are watertight, but not airtight, so you're okay on that score. Check out the links in the description for more wonderful facts and figures about Disneyland's Submarines. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful look at the Lagoon of Wonders. Maybe next time we'll go under the water. Woo, bye-bye.
A grapefruit.